Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Mark, do we still have the special offer for our listeners?
We do. And you go to VRTrader.com, and there's a whole bunch of newsletters up there when you pull up the screen. The one that should be of greatest interest right now is what we call the blockchain letter, with what's going on in the crypto market. That's one of the letters. And, of course, we got our metal resource letter and our cannabis letter, the Arcana report, so a lot of good stuff up there. And of course, our big flagship letter, VR Platinum, covers just about everything. Anyway, the promo code section at each order form, you would use 2021 half off, 2021 half off, and you get 50% off of any newsletter for the subscription period you sign up for. And it's at VRTrader.com.
Mark, although in Canada and the U.S. officially a holiday, but when it comes to trading on the markets, somewhere in the world there's somebody wondering if they can make money somewhere and they're putting money into it. Is there any action going on today that you noticed?
It was sort of overwhelming, actually. There was a lot of stuff going on today. Let's sort of hit some of the high stuff that not only unfolded today, but over the last couple of days, which was somewhat all connected. The new EV company, Rivian. And I should say up front here, too, I like to make a disclosure. I probably should at the top of the interview, but essentially I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't give financial advice. I'm a newsletter publisher, and this is for educational purposes. The stock is Rivian, R-I-V-N, and went public yesterday, that is on Wednesday, and got up to $125 a share, closed $121. This is the new EV company that Ford and Amazon have partnered to create, and I guess everybody's hoping for the next Tesla. So it was a hot trading stock, and I presume it will continue to be in both directions. So, we're watching it. When a stock trades for one day, it's tough to get a good technical handle on it, though you can always jump in during the day and hold your breath, I suppose. So when it settles down here a little bit, hopefully we'll get a sense of whether it's an idea that we could talk about. And then speaking of the EV industry, Tesla, a very interesting story this past week. Technically, the stock was very, very extended. Everybody just fell in love with it here in the last, couple of weeks, and the stock exploded, got all the way up to, what was the top? It was at $1,243 a share. So technically it was way off the charts, needed to pull back. We actually went short, recommended a short idea, and on paper it's all hypothetical trades, but I think it was about 150 points we made on the short side. We got a couple nice notes from our subscribers thanking us for that. They thought it was our biggest trade of the year. I don't think it was, but it was just a lot of points. But anyway, it all came supposedly because this past weekend Elon Musk indicated he might be taking some money off the table for tax purposes or other reasons, or just because he wanted to cash in a little bit, I suppose, all entitled to do that. So when I saw that in the technical extended condition, it was only clear to me in one way it was going to go down. I'm not sure if it's done yet. It's got some corrective numbers, well toward 900. Whether it'll get there from that 1243 high is to be seen. But that was, a lot of fun watching that, participating, and of course the Rivian story that I just mentioned. So, it was a real interesting week. And then of course we still had a lot of action in the crypto sector, which is still, I think, in terms of percentage gains, probably the biggest area for traders or investors, going forward. I mean, the kind of gains or the volatility of some of these cryptocurrencies is just off the charts in terms of percentage numbers. So if you can catch one or more of these things, it's really something to pay attention to. But I've been focusing in on one of the big stocks in the area. It's a company called Coinbase, which is ticker symbol COIN, and that is the platform which many of our listeners know. There's many out there, but this is sort of the big one because the stock trades at $330 a share U.S. Is sort of the platform we can go in and buy and sell many of these cryptocurrencies. So, the stock got up, 380, 390, sold off to about 300 the last day or so when apparently analysts were disappointed in their report, but though their projections are still calling for a lot, greater profits and revenue ahead. So I think this is the one you got to watch. You got to forget that it's 330 or 350. You got to take the zero off the end of it. I remember when you looked at a Tesla when it was 400 or 500, and you thought it was expensive, and it went to several thousand. So you know what I mean. You just got to think about what the potential is, and in this particular industry, the crypto industry, what could a stock like this do? Could it be another Tesla? Could it go to 2,000-3,000 a share? Could it go to 500-600 a share just because they're doing business in the business of crypto and they make a little commission on all the trades and so forth? So, of course, the risk is other platforms are out there, but this is sort of a high flyer. And, of course, crypto itself doesn't seem that it's done yet. Bitcoin sort of lost a little momentum the last couple of days, but still well up there. Ethereum continues strong. And it's like anything else. We try to monitor these and, trade them. And it's still a big area, and there's a lot of action ahead in a multi-year basis. I'm not saying all in one day or 1 month or, by the end of the year, but you can catch some pullbacks in this stuff. Don't chase them. I think there's some opportunities, and if you can track them technically, like we do, the force of gravity always comes into play. You know what I mean? Even with Tesla, we saw this past week. So something's way up, wait for the correction, and if you like what you're seeing, step in there and you take a little position. So, that was sort of the market highlights that sort of caught my attention. Gold upticked here a little bit this past couple of days, Jim, as you probably know. A lot of the gold bugs are happier. But what was real interesting today was that the U.S. dollar rallied, actually posted a little breakout high, not major, but yet gold still held up. So this goes back to my old rule that you don't want to tie markets together. You get caught, dollar's down, gold must be up, or vice versa. And there are instances where markets can run together and not inverse as everybody thinks. So, bond market is up, stocks must be down, and that kind of thinking. You got to look at each chart, each market, and make a decision technically. Does it look like it's going to go up or down? And don't worry what other markets are doing, because you'll get caught when these special situations arise. Even with the dollar holding up, for example, in recent months, not going down. It's been holding up relatively, not breaking out big. And it did break out big today, but it was a little bit of a breakout. But even despite that, we saw crude oil, explode to the upside. And normally people say, gee, it's all priced in dollars. If the dollar is holding up here or rallying, how can crude oil go up? But crude oil went up for a lot of other reasons, like shortages and, expectations that there won't be much crude around. And we've talked about this before. So, the gold story, silver story was also on our screens here the last couple of days. And, that's sort of the highlights the way we see it. So it was definitely with a, military holiday day today, there certainly was still stuff to talk about.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, with the government officially admitting that maybe inflation is here for a while, are there any trades that take advantage of inflation?
Gee, I mean, we've already seen that. We've seen the crude oil market. We've seen a lot of the commodities, agricultural commodities do well. We've seen, for EV reasons, lithium doing well, in terms of its need for the vehicles. So just about any commodity play out there, you can buy one of the ETFs for, commodity ETFs that are out there versus trying to pick an individual commodity. Gold or silver have been laggards, so to speak. And then, you got the crypto market, which I've already talked about. I mean, a lot of players have decided that, with inflation and the devaluation of the dollar, so to speak, or lesser buying power because of the inflation, maybe you want to get into an alternate currency. So the cryptos obviously have attracted a lot of attention. So I don't have any one pick other than saying, you want to buy a ETF for the commodity markets. Agricultural stuff still seems to be strong, for example. And, you could say you like copper or gold or, lithium or, uranium has been strong too. That's been another strong sector. A lot of commodity-related plays. So if you want to start picking sectors, little positions in all of them. But there's no question there's going to be real estate, of course. We still can talk about real estate. Doesn't seem to be over there. A lot of money is disenfranchised from the stock market for one reason or another. Or thinks it's not a safe place to be. Real estate still apparently there's shortages of homes around. There's some supply coming on, but it'll probably take a couple, 3 years till all the contractors start building up the inventory they need to satisfy the demand. Interest rates are low, so that's probably still a beneficiary of inflation. And the real question is, how much of an inflationary spike are we going to have? You listen to the government, they think it's just temporary, don't worry about it, it's just a little bit of a spike, it'll settle down next year. Others believe, I'm more in the camp that you can get a much bigger acceleration and surprise a lot of people. And I don't sense, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't sense a blow off yet. It seems to be still in an uptrend. So we'll just have to monitor it here and see. But definitely there are inflationary related plays, and we watch the charts every day. If things change, Jim, we report it. Like this Tesla story I just gave you. When something goes up too far, too fast, the force of gravity does get involved. And even with the crude oil market and with the gold market and all these other markets, they do get extended and they do have their corrections. So we try to, fish for them or trade them accordingly. So it's not carte blanche where we just jump in and just buy and figure it's going up forever or anything like that. But you did ask the question, and these are the markets that we're sort of monitoring. And but we're more of a, though we make some longer term comments, we tend to be more short to near term in our approach to the way we evaluate things. I don't like looking out too far. You can fall in love with a Tesla. You can fall in love with a Ford Motor Company because that stock has been doing, well. You can fall in love with, this new Rivian and all kinds of individual plays. But everything has it. Each dog has its day, and you got to know when to get out of some of these things too. So we try to do our best there and trade them accordingly.
We're going to have a lunar eclipse during the full moon on the 19th. Does that affect the markets? And what kind of an effect, if it does, do you expect?
Well, we don't know how it's going to affect the market. It's something that I monitor. It's like the full moons and the new moons and the quarter moons. We put them up on our charts. I brought this up many times in our interviews, and I was influenced decades ago by Ian McAvity and his report on the full moon and gold, and I've been charting stocks using, normal technical analysis in my own volume reversal VR work for many years. But I always like to put up, see where the positions of the lunar cycles are, because I have found over time that there tends to be within a day or two of a lunar event, sometimes a top or bottom in the markets, particularly if the markets are overbought or oversold into those points in time. So 19th is a date coming up, and we'll see if the market is weak into that time frame. That might coincide with a bottom, which might make sense, because here in the U.S. you've got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and there's an event that's jokingly referred to as the turkey shoot, which is the study done by Yale Hirsch many years ago, back in the 1970s, where day before and day after the Thanksgiving, they call it the turkey shoot, that you might see a rally in the markets. So I suppose if it is weak into the 19th, and I'm not predicting that it has to be, like, it looked like the market did top out the last couple of days a little bit, but if we did sell off down there, that might be the lunar event might be coincident with that and set up a rally into Thanksgiving.
Mark, you're also keeping an eye on the U.S. space programs, and they plan to return to the moon. What's the story there?
Yeah, I was sort of surprised. I guess I haven't been paying attention to the news. Apparently there's this program, three planned programs called Artemis 1, 2, and 3. You know, the real question, of course, we can spend hours on this discussion, why haven't we been back to the moon, and why have all these, years gone by, and, there's been a lot of speculation that we found things up there that they don't want people to know about, whether it was alien bases or it was our own operations up there that we were establishing bases and they didn't want anybody to know about. There's a lot of assertions that there are bases up there or remnants of some type of structures, or whether it's ancient or current civilization. So, there have even been stories that we went up there and we blew up some of the stuff because we didn't want people to know about it. So I don't trust NASA very much anyway because of this, because I don't think we get all the information. And plus the fact there are thousands of photographs that have been released on the Internet over the years showing structures and things on the moon that officially are discounted. But as far as what's heading new, apparently NASA's going to do this long-awaited moon mission, Artemis 1, which is supposed to happen this coming year, and apparently by the end of this series, Artemis 1, 2, and 3, they're going to have what they claim the first woman and first person of color on the moon. I think that's in 2024. But the Artemis 1, I think, is an unmanned mission, and then the Artemis 2, I believe, is also unmanned, and the Artemis 3, I think, is it's going to have what they call Orion 4 astronauts inside, and they're going to be apparently have a 30-day mission, so they might be out a bit longer than any previous type of event. So that's coming up in the next 2-3 years. So I thought that was sort of interesting. But I also dug up an article just by searching stuff, and I thought it was sort of interesting that apparently there was a gal by the name of Rogers Barrett, and apparently she was the U.S. Air Force top civilian and a key member of Congress who agreed that and made some statements, is going back about a year or so, that we need to really declassify a lot of the secret space programs that the military is involved with. And I've been sort of pounding the table, as you know, about the secret space program, which I've read about and heard about, and anecdotal information. It's got to be 25, 30 years. I mean, this is not something that just came up 6 months ago. Apparently, we've been running a lot of very secret operations. So it's funny that I uncovered this article that she came out and made this comment. So when I read that, I know I'm not the only crazy one out there thinking there's a lot of secret space program operations going on besides what we officially hear from NASA. So when I read these stories about Artemis 1, 2, and 3, I sort of laugh because, or even SpaceX, even though I respect Elon Musk tremendously, and Bezos for his work and so forth, and all these great achievements and attempts to get into space and get people up there. You just wonder, are these, just sort of, I don't want to use the word cover-ups, but, they're sort of stories that aren't related to what the big picture, what really is happening. And, so anyway, I'm a serious student of this. I don't know if I can ever verify everything, but I just, encountered so many situations, interviewing people, meeting people. I have my own radio show for a number of years, and just getting a lot of input from sources that said, gee, we're not being told the truth. And, what's so surprising about that? Does the government really tell us the truth about everything that's happening? We know that that's not the case. That's why we have the Freedom of Information Act, so we can try to get them to release stuff they're not willing to release or tell us about. Even the assassination of Kennedy, supposedly there's documents they still haven't yet released, and we've been promised that stuff is going to come out. So, we distrust of the government, I guess, is the bottom issue here in terms of, getting to the bottom of the secret activities related to the geocosmic. So it's fun. We can talk about it. We can speculate about it. Whether we're ever going to get the total truth is is questionable. I mean, look at Roswell, 1947. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of that, and they keep denying that there was no extraterrestrial craft or anything that crashed, when there's so many witnesses, including a good friend of mine who actually produced a film on the subject and interviewed people who were on site and who said that what you're hearing officially from the government is not true. There was some really significant extraterrestrial activity occurring at that time. So, part of me, I'm 73 years old. I look back and I say, we have an Afghanistan event. We've got inflation stories. We've got COVID. We've got oil prices going up. We got a crazy Democratic Party running the U.S. government now. You get all these stories out there, and all these things, the real story. I mean, what's the real story? And the real story might be so scary and significant when you think in terms of the geocosmic that all this you can just view it as like a cover-up, trying to distract us from what's really happening. Just imagine, I talk about this a lot, and I'm probably dragging the interview on too long, but the insignia, the emblem, I was going to say, for the U.S. space program, the official one, not the secret space program, the space agency that Donald Trump created. The insignia for that program is almost identical to the insignia that was used in Star Trek for the Federation of Planets. And when you compare the two, emblems, you say, gee, why is it so similar? It's got the same star and the same curve on it and everything else. And could it be that there is an interplanetary council out there, and we are involved with other civilizations, and we have contact with extraterrestrials, and that they won't tell us about? There's a story that's gone back now for 50 years, that Dwight Eisenhower apparently had a meeting with extraterrestrials at the big Air Force base not too far from Las Vegas.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us, and can you remind people again about the special offer?
Sure. Go to vrtrader.com, and if you pick any one of the newsletters and get to the promo code section, enter the promo code 2021 half off, and you get 50% off of any of the newsletters for whatever time frame you selected, monthly, quarterly, or annual. That's 2021 half off. Thank you.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. He was speaking to us from Arizona. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, we'll ask that question for you if you send it to info@housestreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HouseStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HouseStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.